I am very impressed with the MLS. The MLS really got this right. And the MLS really caught many of us off guard because a lot of us didn't know much about them talking to Apple TV. Now, the reports started to speculate on Twitter like 2 or 3 weeks ago, but me personally, I didn't take it serious because I'm just so used to seeing every major professional sport in America being broadcasted on cable TV. I'm used to the ESPNs, the Fox, the NBCs, the CBS, the TBS, the TNTs. Seeing a match on or a game on Apple TV? No, I did not expect that. I'm not used to seeing that. However, this is something that is needed because this is the future. Being able to watch a game off an app instead of worrying about what cable network the game is going to be on, what channel the game is going to be on. This is a game changer. And this is good for MLS fans, MLS spectators, and people who are on the fence and they want to learn more about the game, and just viewers in general. This is good. We no longer, starting in 2023, we no longer have to worry about what channel the game is going to be on and how to watch it. And we also don't have to worry about blackouts. We will be able to see our favorite team or any team play whenever the game is on. So there's a lot of things to unpack here. So let's break it down. First thing, all games will be on Apple, which means no more blackouts. You'll be able to watch any game anywhere as long as you have a internet service provider or you are in an area that has good service, good signals. Because sometimes when you're in certain areas, certain locations, you don't really need internet connection. With the cell phone, as long as you have a good connection, you're in an area with a good connection, usually like large metro cities, or a good suburban area, you don't need an internet connection to watch games on the phone. But that's a good thing. So no blackouts, no more local broadcasting. The reason why this is good is because we will be able to get broadcasters who know the game, like former players, former coaches, former managers who knows the game well and will be able to explain the game well to us. Apple TV is an advanced version of ESPN Plus. So that means the view of the game won't be so blurry because Apple TV is 1080 while ESPN Plus is 720. So the view of the games will be better. Apple is going to be the exclusive broadcaster. So we're not going to be dealt with low budget production. This is going to be first class, high class production. And similar to ESPN Plus, you won't need a cable provider. Even when the matches will be on either Univision, Fox, or ESPN, Apple will still be broadcasting those games at the same time. Well, these are the reasons why this Apple TV deal is a guarantee win. It's a guarantee win. As much criticism as I give the MLS is the same amount of praise that I should give them when they get something right. The way that I constantly get on the negativity and talk about how they should improve and what they should do and what they shouldn't do. Whenever they do something right, I should have that same amount of energy. I should have that same amount of fervor when they get something right. And when it comes to this Apple TV deal, they got it right. The reason why they got it right is because, number one, first and foremost, they're looking into the future. They're being progressive. They are planning ahead. They're not reliant on what's going on now, and they're not too worried about what everybody else is doing now. This Apple TV deal, it really sets the stage of what other sports leagues are going to do as we head into the rest of this decade and into the 2030s, into the 2040s. You know, people have been saying this for years, that streaming is the future. And it's true. Streaming is the future. And one of the reasons why I believe the MLS can do something like this is because they are not held in bondage by baby boomers. They are not held in chains by baby boomers. Most MLS fans are between the ages of, I would say, between the ages of 15 and 40. If I had to do a good estimate, I'll say it's either between 15 or 40 or between the ages of 25 and 50. But somewhere between the ages of 20 and 45, that's where a majority of the MLS fans, that's the age group of the majority of MLS fans. And within this age group, within the 20 to 45 age group, or the 20 to 50 age group, between those two numbers, like, most people are cutting the cord. Most people in this age group don't have cable television anymore. Most people in this age group either have a Netflix subscription, or they're just on YouTube all day. Whenever they want to watch something, they just go to YouTube, or they got a Hulu subscription, or they got like a YouTube TV subscription. Traditional media is slowly but surely dying. And because Apple TV has that kind of clout, they have that kind of money to be a trailblazer, and because they want to get into the sports industry, a relationship between Apple and MLS is perfect. And here's why. The MLS is still young. The MLS is still growing. And not only is it growing in America, there are many people outside the 48 continental states that are interested in seeing this sport grow. Not only in Europe, not only in South America, there's also Central America, there's also the Caribbean, there's also Africa, there's also Asia, and there's also the Pacific Islands. Many people throughout the world are just intrigued about the growth of this sport, and they want to see how it's going to grow. Many people in the Middle East, many investors, many investors in the Middle East, they're watching Abu Dubai's NYCFC, and they're wondering, how can we invest in an MLS club? How can we create our own NYCFC similar to Abu Dhabi? Then there's also Apple. Apple is in competition with Android when it comes to when it just comes to, like, I don't know if it's like, I can't say it's subscribers, but when it comes to customers, there we go, that's the word, customers. Apple and Android, they're in competition with each other. Now, Apple is not in the same situation as the MLS in trying to gain more popularity, because Apple's already popular. But Apple wants to find a way to gain more customers. And what a perfect way to get more customers through this MLS deal. So just think about this, for example, Apple. Let's say you got so most people nowadays, they start getting their new cell phone when they're either in probably the 6th grade now, either somewhere between the 6th grade and the 9th grade. All right. So let's say you have an MLS fan who is in, let's say a 12-year-old. I think most people get their in today's America, I believe most people get their first cell phone either at the age of 12 or 13. Okay, so let's say you have a young MLS fan at the age of 12 and they're just entering junior high school. They see that the MLS, that they now see that MLS games will be broadcasted on Apple. Because that kid is an MLS fan and they want to see MLS games without any blackouts, without any restrictions, without any disruptions, without seeing basketball commercials, without seeing NFL commercials, without seeing college football commercials. They just want MLS content on their phone. Because of this new Apple deal, guess who that young 12-year-old who's entering junior high school and getting their first cell phone, guess who they're going to choose? They're going to choose Apple over Android. So it's a win-win for both sides. MLS gets to expand its brand way more than it ever has. And then Apple will gain new customers. Like this guy who's talking right now. Ever since 2015, I've always had an Android. I believe I'm like ever since like the S6. I believe it was the S6 that came out. But anyway, I've never had an Apple phone. And to be honest, I always thought that Android was better than Apple. I don't know. I just always been more comfortable with Android. But because of this new MLS Apple deal, once my current contract with my current Android contract ends in 2023, it ends in April 2023, around the same time the new MLS season will start. So once my contract ends in April 2023, I'm switching over to Apple because of this new MLS deal. Because I want to see MLS games without seeing any basketball commercials. I want to see MLS games without seeing any NFL commercials, without seeing any college football commercials. I want to see MLS pregame shows. I want to see MLS postgame shows. I want to be more educated about the game of soccer. One thing I don't like about ESPN Plus, the ESPN Plus does not have a pregame show and they don't have a postgame show. And then during the halftime, there's no halftime show. They just show you some kind of message. Broadcast is on break, like stream is on break, and that's it. Like as soon as the game ends, like there's no post-game interviews with the players, no post-game interviews with the coach. I mean, they just show you the game. That's it. There's no pre-game. There's no middle of the game. There's no post-game, broadcasting team or show that will, help the viewer gain more interest in the game. And that's why Apple is going to be a huge win for for MLS. Now, I have to admit, at first, I did say that ESPN should be the exclusive partner and that the MLS should not, negotiate or really talk to anybody else. This was largely because of the ESPN Plus, platform. Because my biggest fear was them signing a deal with a broadcasting company that did not have the same package, the same type of package that ESPN offered through the ESPN Plus platform. So that was my biggest fear. I didn't know anything about Apple TV. I've heard about Apple TV, but I never knew much about it because of me being an Android guy. So I never knew anything much about Apple TV. And I really did not think that Apple TV was going to be a serious competitor. So out of my ignorance and based on the lack of information that MLS viewers don't get compared to NFL and NBA viewers, which is something that this country as a whole has to do a better job at. So because of the lack of information, I was just going with ESPN because of the ESPN Plus platform. But the MLS got it right. One of the major issues with ESPN Plus was the blackouts. I already named a couple other issues with ESPN Plus. There's no pregame show. There's no halftime show. There's no postgame show. As soon as the game ends, that's it. We don't get to see the players talk, at least for 5 minutes. The players just interact with the fans through the interviews with the journalists. We don't get to see post-game interviews with the coach or pre-game interviews with the coach or halftime interviews with the coach. You know how you watch NBA games and, the reporter talks to the coach for at least 1 or 2 minutes just to get his perspective on what happened on the first half and how you plan on to improve in the second half, just to get a little perspective. ESPN Plus did not provide that. But the MLS was taking notes. And the MLS studied that and they noticed that. And they told us, we're going to correct that. And the MLS is working on that right now. Now, who gets the most credit for this deal? Who is the group of people that gets the most credit for this Apple deal? Is it Donna Garber? Is it Taylor Twellman? Is it Alexi Lalas? Is it Bruce Arena? Who gets the credit for this Apple TV deal? Is it the MLS Players Association? Nope. It's none of them. The main people who gets the credit is the fans. The fans, the MLS fans, the fans that have been watching ever since the late 90s. The fans that have been watching ever since the early 2000s. The fans that have been watching ever since 2010. Even the fans that have been watching ever since 2020 and 2022. Fans, critics, spectators, we get the credit for this Apple TV deal. Why? Because in this deal, based on the reports that I'm reading from Sam Stajkow, who is the Adam Schefter of the MLS, based on the information I'm getting, the MLS is going to address all the major issues that fans and viewers had with the ESPN Plus and other broadcasting networks and systems. No blackouts. Better broadcasting team, better commentary, guys who actually know about the game of soccer and that can teach and educate us about the game. Because this is what is lacking. This is what is truly lacking. Now, I have watched every MLS game on ESPN Plus. I mean, well, not every MLS game, but every team I've watched since 2021. Not every game, but every team I watched on the ESPN Plus platform since 2021. So basically, I was able to witness every local broadcast team that was broadcasting the games, the matches. And the thing that lacked the most was the educational aspect. Like, you can tell that either the broadcasters didn't know much about traditional football, or, they knew about it, but they didn't have much information about it. They weren't well knowledgeable of it. And that is what that's what has been lacking the most during these broadcasts. This is why a lot of people have been complaining about the broadcasts. This is the main things that the critics were saying about these broadcasts. So with that being said, because you, the fans, because you, the spectators, because you are the reason why the MLS has this broadcast deal with Apple, it's because of your criticism. Because of your criticism, I encourage you to continue to criticize. You don't need to have a YouTube channel to criticize. You can have your own Twitter account. You can be a critic through Twitter. You can be a critic through Instagram. I'm not sure if the MLS is on Facebook, but you can be a critic through Facebook. You be a critic through TikTok. It is because of your criticism that the MLS has delivered and they have answered. So whenever you criticize them on social media, don't think they're not reading it. Don't think they're not paying attention. They are paying attention. Why? Because they need critics. Because every good business pays attention to the critics. Every good business pays more attention to the critics than the one who give them praise. Because the critics will let them know where they need to improve. And every good business seeks improvement. Every business that seeks to be great, they look for the criticism. They're always looking for some error. Where can I improve? And this is when critics like us come in. So when you don't be afraid to criticize the MLS. Don't be afraid to disagree on certain decisions that they make. Because most of the time, they're paying attention to the one who disagrees more than the one who agrees. Why? Because good businesses that seeks to be great, they always search for constructive criticism. Because with the constructive criticism, it lets them know where they need to improve. And businesses that's always seeking improvements, those are the ones that grows to be great. If it wasn't for our criticism, we probably wouldn't have this MLS deal on Apple TV. Now, I'm not going to take too much time. I don't have too much time to talk on this monologue. But for the rest of this week, the next couple of monologues is going to be more about this Apple TV deal because it is so much to unpack. This Apple TV deal is a huge game changer. I mean, doors after doors of opportunities is getting ready to open for this league. This league is getting ready to have so much flexibility to expand its brand and to promote itself the right way. You no longer have to rely on cable networks like ESPN and Fox who put other leagues above your league. You're no longer looked upon as the side chick. You're no longer looked upon as just some ragdoll or just some random irrelevant league where that should be grateful that the cable network is even broadcasting your games. It's no longer about that. Apple TV is putting you at the forefront, MLS. And because they're putting you at the forefront, they are going to help you expand your brand globally. ESPN can't do that for the NFL. Why? Because rugby style football is not a global sport. ESPN, TNT, they can't do that for Major League Baseball. Why? Because Major League Baseball is not a global sport. ESPN and TNT, they can't do that for NHL. Why? Because hockey is not a global sport. Really, the only true sport that they can really do that with, that can really compete with you, is the NBA. And if the NBA really had a good business plan, if they really had some good leaders and leaders who are not so consumed with trying to please every emotion of their players, like if the NBA truly had real business leaders who was not so concerned to cater to the emotions of their superstar divas, the NBA could really be like a dominant force on this planet. But anyways, MLS, you have better leadership than the NBA. You have a better, bigger vision than the NBA. And Apple TV sees it in you. Apple TV believes in you. And Apple TV is going to grow with you. Look, Apple TV, executives of Apple TV, let me tell you something. You're doing a good thing. Why? I mean, how? You are going to get more customers because of this, Apple. Because there's a lot of Android users like me who never even thought about switching to Apple. But because of this MLS TV deal, you're going to have people like me cross over from Android to Apple. And the good thing about this, my current contract with Android ends right in time for the MLS season. Right in the springtime. And that's when the MLS season will start. So I will have my Apple TV. I'll have my ESPN app subscription on my new Apple phone. And I'll be watching MLS on Apple TV with everybody else. Anyhow, like I said, this is huge. And it's just so much to talk about that I can't talk about on this one monologue. But for the next couple of monologues, for the rest of the 50s, the monologue 50s, 56, 57, 58, 59, I'll continue to talk more about this Apple TV deal because it's just doors of opportunities are getting ready to open for the MLS. The MLS is about to take flight. The MLS is leveling up. So MLS fans, MLS spectators, MLS viewers, whatever you consider yourself to be in regards to the MLS, I'm telling you right now to buckle up because this league is getting ready to take flight.
Check them envying my leather seats in my cockpit with better beats. Nothing but blue skies ahead of me. Over the clouds and beneath the sky, it's big cool with little brother still flying high. The world's finest, ain't no need to lie, cause even when I'm on the ground, I'm still flying high. It's fine, stay up in the place to be, representing worldwide from sea to sea. He got the spot most definitely. That little brother